All right. So, Alan, thank you so much for being here with us today. We want to start with your journey. So, from working at Disney and Mattel to leading innovation programs at XPRIZE, you've seen how creativity and technology intersect in powerful, powerful ways. What experiences from those early chapters prepared you to launch what became Lollipop Labs?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's great to talk with fellow Gators. Um, I'll say though, my career has been really working with youth in various capacities, either marketing or building a community with them. And the one thing that has been consistent in my background with all the different companies that you had mentioned is I've always been inspired by students and young students and their ideas and what they can come up with. When we do research from a marketing perspective and we're bringing students in and trying to understand what might interest them in a toy or what might interest them in a movie or whatever that is, they're always coming up with some amazing feedback. And it wasn't until my time at XPRIZE where I was running youth engagement programs where these middle school students were getting patents on their ideas. And I really was amazed at how not only their passion for changing the world, but their drive to get a patent on their technology. And so my career has really been just been fascinated that we're not spending more time talking to younger people and how they want to change the world, because ultimately the world will be theirs.
And so early on, was there any like lasting impression or lesson that you think you were taught about how youth especially are very creative with their imagination? You know, was there a specific time and situation that you thought that occurred?
So there wasn't really a specific time that I can point to, but it was just constantly over the time hearing the students and don't shut them down. Let their ideas keep coming out of them. And that's something that we bring to the day at Lollipop Labs, is that we surround all our young innovators with subject matter experts who can help them bring their ideas out and keep working on them. So again, there wasn't just one specific time. It really was allow the students to keep working on their ideas and don't say no to them.
I love that notion. I feel like it's reflected even here in college, which is a space where we're learning and being creative and coming up with new ideas every day. It's one of the last opportunities, I think, to do that before entering the real world. So a lot of what you're saying, I feel like we also experience on a day-to-day basis in a lot of the spaces that we contribute and hopefully make a difference.
Well, you bring up a good point, is that even in college. So obviously I'm a proud graduate of the University of Florida MBA program. And much like you all, we do a lot of study groups. And the worst thing you can do in a study group is tell your partner, your team member, no, let's not go that route. Let's go this route. It's a kind of a yes and mentality. They may not have the right answer, but they have an answer that's going to lead you to a better outcome.
And actually, we want to talk about your experience at UF. So kind of how did that MBA program prepare you for what you're doing now? What were some of the lessons that you took from your time at UF that you think you've employed into your career?
Well, the one thing was so great about the MBA program at University of Florida was it was an international audience. Mm-hmm. I was studying with students from all over the world. One of my best friends is from Greece, and it was getting their perspective on how, because we're working. It's a lot of it is case-based studying, digging into some companies and where they did well and where they did not. But to hear it from different perspectives really kind of opened my mind on, oh, there is a different way of approaching that. And I've used that mentality today. I never shut down one idea. I want to hear kind of from everybody. And that's how we run our company at Lollipop Labs. Everyone has a say in how we do things, and everyone feels that they can contribute.
I think that's honestly one of the most beautiful things about UF. I know I personally got the chance to study abroad. Grace as well. You actually studied abroad at the same time, which was cool. You studied abroad.
I'm not.
You need to get on that. But I think what's cool is there are so many students that go to our school, and taking advantage of meeting people that you may not meet in your normal classes, taking the time to learn other people, how they work, how they run, their backstories, their stories, I think is super important. And I definitely appreciated that they include that in the curriculum, and that, like you say, that's how you run Lollipop Labs, is because of very early on, you were like, okay, we're going to see a lot of different people and we're going to hear their stories, and that they're going to all matter and be valued in our company. So I think that that's really great.
But the one thing that's I always found fascinating is when you're in it, you're
Yeah.
not thinking, you're not appreciating the other perspectives. It's not
Right.
until you graduate and you're in the real world and you're applying different ideas to a problem, then you're looking back at your college time and going, yes, now I know why college got me to the point where I'm at today.
Right.
But for a professor or someone to tell students, embrace this time and appreciate all perspectives, you're just going to say, yeah, right. That doesn't mean anything. So students are jaded, and that's okay. Of course you're jaded because you're looking at something in a very myopic view.
Right.
But what's exciting is you're going to look back and really appreciate the fact that you had those perspectives.
I resonate with a lot of what you're saying right now. I'm currently getting my combined degrees in both information systems and my master's in international business. So, in doing graduate courses and undergraduate courses at the same time, I'm noticing the large difference between grad school, where it is very hands-on, and we're finding ourselves having to step outside of our comfort zones and eliminate like the group think that exists in a lot of the undergraduate courses. So it's really interesting. I'm actually going to Dublin next week with the program. We're helping a
Nice.
I know, and we had to do that, stepping outside of our comfort zones and reflecting on everything we've learned in the past 4 years in order to make an efficient solution and make, of course, the trip worthwhile. So it's really cool, and I think UF does a great job in structuring these things so that we take away ultimately incredible things that change the world. So
Well, you're doing some amazing schooling there, but my suggestion is just take it all in,
Right.
enjoy it, because this is the only time where you're really going to be able to go to Dublin from an
Right.
academic perspective and soak it in. Because if you're going there for work, completely different mindset. And so just enjoy the journey right now.
totally. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you now lead Lollipop Labs, which runs innovation challenges, esports events, youth-focused programs across the country. Can you walk us through how you ensure each program, whether it's a robotics challenge or an innovation tour, that ties back to the same mission of empowering young people through STEAM?
Well, first of all, I work with an amazing team, and we spend a lot of time brainstorming, going back to that team dynamics of there's not a bad idea. It's how do we build on top of that idea? But the core is engaging and inspiring young innovators to really pursue STEAM disciplines, bring in the 21st century learning skills, and change the world in their career. And so everything we always go back. So whatever program we design, it has to go back to that mission. Is this program engaging and inspiring young innovators? And we spent a lot of time fixing and just working on how we can make the program better. We also talk to a lot of students in our program, and not just to hear what's the latest trends, what's going to get them excited. Everything we do is incentive based. And what I mean by that is we have great prizes for the teams that win, but we also incentivize when we have mentors that are helping the students with their ideas. If they were the mentee if they were the mentor to the winning team, they get a prize as well. So we try to really embrace the incentive, because we believe you get what you incentivize. And so we always think about what prizes will attract students to our programs. And because obviously these students are interested in the prize. Yes, they want to make a mark on the world, but they also want to, be victorious and take home something really cool. So what your question is, we always go back to that mission. Is this engaging? Is this inspiring? And how is this program going to reinforce the STEAM skills that they have and bring in the 21st century learning skills such as collaboration, teamwork, digital literacy? How can they continue with those skills to really become kind of all-encompassing as they come out of our program?
Right.
I've always been of the opinion that I don't think you can learn unless you ask questions. So I really love that sentiment that, no idea is a bad idea. I feel like my teachers always used to tell me that. But when it comes to actual company culture, I think that's so important, especially because you had mentioned no idea is really going to be the best until you implement it. You take the steps to actually show or feel how it can actually change your entire company or what it can actually do for you. So I really appreciate that sentiment. And I kind of wanted to transition that to talking about the Compton Innovation Challenge, which tackles trauma with the help of student designed tech. I wanted to transition that a little bit into the Compton Innovation Challenge, which tackled trauma with the help of student designed tech, PR, education, and social impact, all of which can make students come together. What surprised you most about that implementation of that project?
Well, thank you for highlighting that particular program, because that is one of our most insightful and successful programs. So when we work with Compton Unified School District, and by the way, the challenge was generously sponsored by the Williams Sisters Foundation, Serena and Venus, and it was they have the genesis of the challenge was that they have one of their other sister has a trauma center in Compton, you attended Price, and it was not well known within the district, and so the district was trying to figure out how they can get more students aware of the trauma center, and so they heard about Lollipop Labs, and they said you guys should do an innovation challenge around this, and then use the center as a point where students can go to. That's where they met with their mentors, and it was just a great way of interacting with the student body. We picked trauma so the challenge was students need to use technology to identify or alleviate trauma in someone's life. Now, that's a heavy subject.
Yeah.
And we were cautious of using trauma as the subject. And so we told everybody that you're not going to get a lot of submissions because students may not understand exactly how to use technology to identify and alleviate trauma. They may not care. And so we were just we might get 15 to 20 submissions. And this was a middle school and high school challenge. It was originally designed for just middle school, but the Williams Sisters Foundation loved it so much that they actually wanted to include high school. And so this is great because more students, more awareness for the trauma center. So we started the program, we got it into the schools, and we got submissions. To our surprise, we had close to 100 submissions.
Wow.
Students, again, it goes back to give the students an opportunity and they're going to amaze you.
Yeah.
And that's really what it came down to. And so we had top five teams of middle school and top 5 teams of high school. And we had a panel of subject matter experts as judges. And the high school team that won, there was a representative from Samsung on the judging panel. And when we took a break between the presentations, the representative came up to me and said, that's a really good idea. We might be able to include that in our phones.
Wow. That's awesome. Wow.
And it was just, again, these kids just have amazing ideas, but they don't have an outlet for them. And so we were so proud to see how many submissions that challenge had, but also the level of quality of the submissions were impressing subject matter experts. And it was just incredible. And we've seen students in our programs go on to get patents or get provisional patents on their ideas. Like, we don't take what we do lightly. We know these students have real ideas with real impact.
I think that's incredible. And I feel like, so much of our audience is students and people who are around our age, and they're like right now getting into the workforce. And so many times, I'm a PR major, and so many of like my bosses, so many of the people that I work with, they're like, well, we want to hear what you have to say because it's like this new, fresh perspective. And so I think that students who kind of discount themselves right off the bat, like that, they're like, oh, I'm too young to go get a patent, or oh, I'm too young for this idea to matter, or look at those executives, like they're not going to take my word. Like I'm not a subject matter expert like they are. But I think, like you said, and it's good to hear that from someone like you who's leading this innovation lab. And I think it's so important because students do offer such a unique perspective and a really important voice. And I think that, our listeners, if you're listening, you should definitely take that into consideration when you're going in and know that your voice does matter and that your ideas are good and that there are places like Lollipop Labs that want to help out and want to highlight that voice. So I think it's very special that you give so many students that opportunity. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of your flowers on that and think that that's an amazing program and so incredible. So
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
yeah, of course. And as you're saying, like you are a platform for innovation at Lollipop Labs. Like that's really what you are. And so what does that day to day look like with balancing the partnerships with schools, with companies, with nonprofits, with getting a Samsung executive there? Like what does that process look like? And again, like you were saying, how do you keep it fresh for students to be interested? Because it's hard sometimes to figure out what's happening and what's new. And how do you guys kind of tread that line at Lollipop Labs?
Well, that is, again, I go back to what I love about working at Lollipop Labs and running with a great team is that every day is different because every year, even though we will do a program, the same program at a school district in our 8th year, the program's different. We have new students competing in it. We have a new theme. So we work hard to kind of make sure our programs are always fresh and the students are excited about it. And our name is starting to get out there where students are like, oh, it's a Lollipop Labs program. I'm going to sign up for that. And we're honored when we hear that because we know that our programs stand for quality and the students expect it. And we're happy to deliver. So what does a day look like is it's really all over the place because we have we have our esports programs, then we have an innovation challenge, and then we have a tour next week. And we're talking to AI companies and bringing kids into robotics experts and healthcare companies. So our ecosystem is just filled with a lot of innovators and people just using disruptive technologies to change the world. But we're also talking to students who just have a passion for wanting to learn and figuring out how they can apply their thinking to a great idea. And then, of course, we have those students who don't, especially the middle school students, who don't quite realize that they have the mentality that can change the world. And the idea is that how can we unlock that? And that's a lot with our esports programs is a lot of people ask us, well, how does esports have anything to do with STEAM and your ecosystem? Well, the fact of the matter is that a high school student that consider themselves a gamer is 3 times more likely to pursue a STEAM major in college. There's a lot of correlation between a gamer's mentality and a scientist and engineer mentality. And if you talk to a lot of engineers, they were gamers in middle school and high school. And so the idea of making that connection really unlocks a lot of passion into these gamers. And they realize that they're doing great things. They're not going to be professional gamers, but their gaming mentality can take them to a career. And that's something that we do is we introduce them to engineers from SpaceX or autonomous vehicle engineer. And they explain to them, like, 1, what they're doing, but then 2, how they were gamers in middle and high school and what they're doing now and the connection. So all of those things just make for a crazy day with us. But it's all with a common theme of our mission of inspiring and engaging students. When I interview people to want to work at Lollipop Labs, I explain to them that every day is going to look different because there are people unlike you who they want to know what they're doing every day. They need it scheduled because that's just the way they operate. There's nothing wrong with that. And so I always encourage college students when they're applying for jobs and having interviews at companies, they need to find out what is it a dynamic, lively work day, or is it kind of just a very systematic day? Because they know how they are And so that gives you great insight into the culture of a company by understanding the way you like to work and the way the company is. And that's not a question that's usually asked in an interview. And so we make sure that when we bring people in Lollipop Labs, it's a dynamic environment. So if you're expecting just a consistent, this is not for you.
Well, I love that. That sounds absolutely incredible. It sounds like you have a culture that's very uplifting and
Inspiring.
inspiring at the end of the day.
Well, unfortunately, I learned the hard way. I've worked at a lot of organizations that had horrible culture, but that's not a bad thing. You just learn what you don't want. And so when I created Lollipop Labs, I made sure everyone needs to feel supported, they can contribute freely. And anytime that there is an issue that we have, I want to know about it. So we have to fix it. I do not stand for toxic.
And I want to hear about that moment. So you've talked about like how such amazing work that Lollipop Labs is doing. What was that pivotal moment where you're like, this is something that I want to do? This is something that I'm diving into. Do you have like a fun fact about the career story that kind of led you to this point? And what was that I made it moment where you were like, you know what? This mission is working. My idea is happening. Good work is coming from it. Like, what was that moment for you?
Well, when I started, I wanted to surround myself with people that I actually like talking to, that I admire, that I know that together we can build something. So Lollipop Labs was kind of born out of this company called XPRIZE. It's a nonprofit, and I worked with some amazing people at XPRIZE. And so I came to them and said, "Hey, I'm going to start this company. I want you to join me on the mission." And they were, "Yes, let's go." And so that was the pivotal moment for me, is that I was building something with colleagues that I respected and knew that could contribute. Look, are there bad days and some days we're not getting along? Absolutely. But we're still friends and we know we're doing the greater good. And so that's what makes work really easy for me, is that I'm talking to people that I really enjoy talking to.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, I love that fun fact. You learn something new every day. And I played video games as a kid, and I guess I'm a STEAM major now, so that's great to know. But
There we go.
yeah, exactly. And
Sorry, what's your major?
so I'm business management and political science, but I'd say like the arts are just within a lot of my coursework, especially for poli sci. But I wanted to say on the second half of that, especially when it comes to the work that you're doing with students, like the younger generation, they are our future. And specifically, like, I like the question that you're asking, like, why do we do the things that we do and why do we do it certain ways? And I think that that's what you're inherently teaching students at Lollipop Labs. It's how to think different, how to think creativity, and how to think outside of the box. And that's what this next generation really, really needs. So I really commend you on that work.
Well, again, thank you. I really appreciate that. But the other thing is that, and I'm going to say even you all, students have access to technology that I grew up not having, and it's only going to get better with the era of AI and autonomous vehicles and 3D printing. This world is going to change as we know it.
Oh, yeah.
And
especially in LA, I mean, I see like a Waymo like a car driving by every single time. But like, it's crazy. Like, I was like, there's more like Waymos and driverless cars on like the road than there actually are, which is crazy.
That is the one thing that we really enjoy, is talking to students about the future of work and where the jobs are, because it's not where they are now. And we explain to them about transportation. We explain about recycling. We talk about space travel. Because we have a lot of companies in Southern California that are in aerospace. And we love bringing students to those companies because they are working on the future. And it's really mind-boggling for a student to wrap their head around the fact that we'll be living on the moon in their lifetime. And they just get excited about that opportunity. But imagine all these middle school students getting excited about that because they can actually have a say in that down the road. And so, as you said, you saw Waymo. I think people don't understand that autonomous vehicles is our future. But it's a good. A student asked me just the other day, "Is autonomous vehicles good for humans?" And I said, "Absolutely. Think about how many accidents we won't have because of autonomous vehicles.
Right.
It is going to be amazing and also convenient
Exactly.
because, I said, imagine, well, I'll put it in perspective from Gainesville to Miami, and you're reading a paper or doing something on your computer while the car is taking you to the destination.
Hours.
I mean, it's going to completely change the way we interact as humans with our time, but also just free us up from any accidents or anything like that that could harm us.
Hopefully it'll help the traffic too.
I think
Well,
innovation is the future, and it's what our generation brings to the table uniquely. I interned this summer at Bank of America, and I often found myself contributing by bringing new ideas to the table of tech that they'd never seen before. And they were very receptive and open to that and asked me lots of questions and pulled my intern class on multiple occasions just to kind of pick our brains, similar to kind of what I'm understanding you guys do for middle schoolers and lots of different ways essentially. But I do think that this innovation in general with the entire world in so many different spaces is going to be our future, and it's how we were raised with technology, as we said, that you guys didn't have. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what that looks like in 5, 10, 20 years.
I can't believe that I always talk to my mom and she's like, there was a time that I didn't have phones. Like,
I know.
You remember that? And now I'm like, I can't believe there was a time that people did life without AI.
I know.
It's crazy to think about how fast and even the start of when we had our iPods, present to now, it hasn't been that long, and it's just crazy how fast everything is moving. And I love that you're including students in that pace, and I think that that's so important, even from the young age that they're in.
Certainly.
Well,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to talk about, you talk about your parents, like we didn't have this and that. So when I was working at Disney, I worked in their home video division, and we had, I don't know, you guys know what VHS cassettes are?
Yes.
Those rectangle things that you put in a VHS. Yes, I'm dating myself, but that's what our movies went on that. But someone came to me and said, this disc is going to hold a movie. I'm like, what? There's no way. Yeah. And so DVD comes along, and again, technology, embrace it because it's going to happen. So the question is, especially for college students, is how can you use technology to do your job better, but also just make your life easier. And you're just at a great time because the technology is so prevalent in many different ways, almost too much. I mean, I hope you're all not like just living on TikTok because that's just a waste of time. But yes, but I also understand it's one of those things that just is in our culture and society. But and also a great platform for many content creators.
I wish I had Lollipop Labs as a kid. I mean, I think the most common job in the United States is, driving a truck. And the fact that now we have self-driving cars, that's going to go away soon. If I was a kid and I knew that and I was learning about all those different subjects, I think that would have been a complete game changer in the way that I view life itself.
It's a great point you brought up, and it's actually true. Truck driving is one of the largest employers in our country. But one of the companies that we take a lot of students to is called Miso Robotics, and they create robots for fast food back office. So they can flip a burger, they can fry French fries, and so basically the worker just pushes a button, and the machine will make French fries, deep fry them, and all that. And what's great about that is that because people are always saying, isn't that taking away jobs? Well, it might be taking away one job of a fryer in the back of a McDonald's, but it took 100 people to make that robot. And so it's actually creating more jobs. Because if you think about technology and autonomous vehicles, you need a lot of engineers and just a lot of work to get to the point where autonomous vehicles is going to be mainstay. And so the one statistic I forgot to mention, because you said what was the kind of the driving point to Lollipop Labs. When I was at this XPRIZE Foundation, someone told me a statistic that I'll never forget. By 2050, there'll be roughly 10 billion people on this planet.
Wow.
We have I'm sorry, we have about 8 billion right now.
Yeah.
So in 30 years, give or take, we're really gonna expand. Now that may not seem like a lot, adding 2 billion more people on this globe, but what was really fascinating about that stat is we're not ready for 2 billion more people. Our education system, our infrastructure, our agriculture, our transportation, not designed for that many people. And so if we do not get more students interested in STEAM and figuring out how to solve problems in a very productive, creative, collaborative way, we're not going to be able to sustain as a species that many people on the planet, which is one of the reasons why a lot of companies are trying to get us off this planet. We need minerals and things that are found on the moon and meteorites and all that. So knowing that, I'm like, okay, we're not as a US country, we're not graduating enough students in STEAM disciplines. Other countries are, but we're not. And so that's really was one of those things that I said, okay, and that's why we left XPRIZE. Like, we're going to go do something that's going to address this problem. But we're hoping there are more Lollipop Labs. We hope everyone incentivizes students to figure out how to change the world, because it's coming. We just have to figure out what we're going to do to make sure it works in 2050.
I was about to say, what are ideal steps then, like tangibles, to solve that problem? Because I mean, that's a pretty big issue, if you ask me.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well,
Do you think the answer is more Lollipop Lab type places? Is it rooted at the education system? What do you think are things that can be actually done?
That is a great question, and very obviously hard to answer, because it's numerous things.
World problems now.
Yes, let's do this. Okay, for the next 3 hours, I want to really walk through.
Between us and then Matthew, we're gonna like literally solve the world right now.
So a couple things though is we need more educators. We're going to have the baby boomers are retiring, and a lot of teachers are in that age range. But the teachers that are replacing them need to embrace that innovative philosophy. Also, construction. We need more, as our infrastructure is crumbling, we need more construction workers to build, but we need better materials for those construction workers. So we need materials that can withstand fire, withstand floods, withstand a hurricane, withstand earthquakes. And so a house won't crumble. It will move with the earthquake or deflect a fire. So with better materials and technology, but it still goes back to, you have to educate these people to that, how to one, make the material, to apply the material. Right. So we need to change our education system to incentivize teachers, pay them more, get better teachers to educate the up and coming students to want to go into these fields. We're doing it a different way. We're using incentivized competitions to get students, but that's not every student. That's the students that are drawn to our programs. And so, like I said, this is a much bigger problem to fix, but we need to get it going. And, we're right now, our politicians are just arguing with each other. We have oceans that are boiling, that are killing marine life. We have landfills that are overrun with plastic. We have temperatures that we've never seen before. We have icebergs melting. Am I just painting a rosy picture of our future? But the thing is that we've got real issues, and we need students and teachers who are willing to figure out, all right, this is what we can do.
Right.
I think you're the start to that solution, honestly.
Yeah, and I think definitely, like you said, like including students in that and including the youth is going to be so important, and we definitely need to get more people in STEAM majors. Shout out to all the STEAM majors that are listening right now.
University of Florida's got a great engineering program.
So good.
I mean,
it just speaks though that on all levels and in all industries, we definitely need more students that are focused on these specific topics. And I think it's just very, very important, the work that you're doing, and so we're happy that we can shine a light on it today.
But if I may, one thing we always, when we talk to the students in our programs. We say, what encouraged you to pursue engineering or science or whatever it is? It comes down to usually a teacher. That I had a 7th grade science teacher who was just amazing. It's always something like that. And so we know the impact teachers can have on a student's future. And so that's why I go back to it. And as teachers are retiring, we got to get better teachers and more of them to inspire the students to see that STEAM's cool.
Yeah.
Because, and by the way, we always talk about the white coats of the company: marketing, PR, sales, finance, accounting, HR, legal. All of those fields are in the STEAM world, in those companies, right? NVIDIA has all those fields. So I always say to the marketing people, pursue STEAM. It's okay. Just because you're not wearing a white lab coat doesn't mean you can't change the world at the company you're working at.
Oh, for sure. And what advice do you give? I mean, we're wrapping up, but what advice do you give to the next generation of innovators who may not feel they have the resources or confidence to start solving those problems yet? What would you tell them? What do you guys tell them at Lollipop Labs? What is your advice to these people?
Well, again, we're just at such an exciting time that you, and I say you have access to TED Talks. You have access to the internet, YouTube. It's so funny, as I was over at a friend's house not too long ago, and they made an incredible meal for us. And I said, I had no idea that you are a cook. She's like, I'm not. I went on YouTube and I learned how to make all these dishes. And that's the thing. 20 years, even I'll say 15 years ago, some of these tools were not available. And now AI in that era, our education capacity of knowing is going to accelerate.
Yep.
So when I tell students who don't realize that they have that capacity, is the technology is there, the will needs to be there, the want needs to be there, because anybody can. First of all, technology is democratized. Anyone can access YouTube. Anyone can access an AI engine. Anyone can access a TED Talk and learn. It's, do they want to? And so will we find that the students that win our competitions or our programs that win the prizes, they just have the will to do it. They work a little harder. They stay up a little later. They have better communication with their teammates. But anyone can do this. And so it's just a matter of, do you want to do it?
Yeah, and I know, I just wanted to mention this. My dad, for example, super old timer, he started using YouTube to do oil changes, do some plumbing work, stuff like that. He ended up welding our boat and our jet ski by himself, with all the tools, put it up on a lift. He's done every single mechanical job you could even imagine, all via YouTube. So it really is about your own pursuance of, I think, that
using it as a resource.
Exactly. So speaking,
that's incredible.
yeah. So speaking of the future, 10 years from now, what do you hope Lollipop Labs turns into? And what do you want people to say about it? About its impact on education? Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Speaking of the future.
Speaking of the future, 10 years from now, what do you hope people will say about Lollipop Labs, whether it's the impact on education or innovation?
Well, I hope that they look back at Lollipop Labs and says that we created change. That we did something to get students to understand the issues that our world is facing, and that we had a small piece in inspiring and engaging students to want to apply their thinking to do that. I also want Lollipop Labs to be a beacon. So like I said, we're students know that it's a Lollipop Labs program. We kind of, our programs, we kind of differentiate our programs from other offerings, and people appreciate the other stuff that we do. We add to our program because the creativity, the prizes, and so we just hope that in 10 years that one, we're continuing to do great work and inspiring, but also in 10 years, some of those high school students can come work that won our programs. They can become lollipoppers and they can come work for us. And so, we hope that we're just generating, future employees now. And we are always excited when students win our programs and they stay within our ecosystem, and we use them to they speak to other students.
Well, I think that brings us to the end. That was our last question. Your journey from global entertainment companies to building a mission-driven innovation lab is truly so inspiring. In addition to all the incredible testaments you shared about life in general and the future, I feel extremely inspired.
Me too. I'm excited for what's about to come.
So excited. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today on Chomcast. It was beyond a pleasure to have a little bit of your time. And from the Chomcast team to our listeners, whether you're a student dreaming up your first project, a teacher looking for new tools, or a professional curious about innovation in general, Alan's story here that we've heard and all the testaments that he shared are a reminder that the future belongs to those bold enough to create it. So thank you again for your time. It was such a pleasure. And we look forward to seeing all the remarkable things that you do in the future.
And we always finish every episode with a Gator Chomp. Of course. Go Gators, okay? Ready? All right. 3, 2, 1. Go Gators.